this is Kerwin from Gothic Serpent, and thank you to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. So, after about close to 20 music videos that I've done over the past few years, I thought this would be a good opportunity to showcase some of the gear that I use to record. Seeing how, as I am primarily a bassist, it's the first instrument that I really picked up and took seriously, so I'll start with bass guitars. My main bass is a Zon Sonus Special, which I had fitted with EMG pickups instead of the default Bartolini's. I find that these pickups make recording and mixing bass very easy, as they have an even balance of bottom and clarity. I selected the Sonus after several months of research, when I was looking for a replacement for the Warwick thumb I was using at the time. I just found the thumb way too heavy, with excessive neck dive, and the humidity of my country, Singapore, was giving me all kinds of problems with the neck. So, I narrowed my search down to either a Dingwall Afterburner or the Sonus, and what won me over was the Sonus's graphite neck, which ensures I'll never have to do any adjustments to keep the neck straight. Tonally, I once told a friend of mine that recording with the Zon felt like cheating, because it sits perfectly in the mix whether the music is heavy or mellow, without getting in the way of the guitars. So the next bass that I'm showcasing here is the Spector Coda 5. I believe this is the Pro variant of it. And this is quite a special bass because its previous owner was Frank Klepacki, who is the composer of the original Command & Conquer and Red Alert games. Now, my first bass was a Fender Jazz, but after a while I sold it to a friend because I got more interested in other brands like Warwick and Spector. But eventually, I realized that nothing could replace the growl of a jazz-style bass, and I love that the Coda fulfills that need while also having a big, beefy, active sound. If the Zon is a Swiss Army knife, the Spector is a machete. The thing about the Spector is that the EMG pickups, coupled with the tone pump, give it an almost overwhelming amount of power. When recording, I have to dial back both the bass and treble knobs. Aside from that, this is a jazz bass on steroids. It's a bit too aggressive sounding for quieter songs, but it's unbeatable when I need to go into full attack mode. Here I have my 1987 Rickenbacker 4003, which I've owned since 2008. I specifically sought this bass out because of its rare color scheme and spent a good chunk of time on eBay waiting for it to show up. Color scheme aside, this has got the iconic tone of Chris Squire, Geddy Lee, Bruce Foxton, Paul McCartney, and many more famous bass players from the 60s and 70s. For me, the real power of this bass comes through when it's run through my Sansamp VT bass pedal. This is a pedal that simulates the sound of an Ampeg SVT amp, and once activated, all those growly mid-range tones of the Ricky just burst forth. I've tried running the Ricky through more modern pedals like the Dark Glass B7K, but I've constantly been led back to the same conclusion, which is this is a bass that is at its best when it speaks through warm, tube-style distortion. So where the tone of the Rickenbacker really lives, and that's where what it's most famous for through guys like Chris Squire and Geddy Lee, is the bridge pickup. So what I almost always do is to dial the neck pickup back by about a quarter of the way. So you still get that kind of bassy fatness in the tone, but it opens up the bridge pickup more so it growls more. And lastly, we have the Music Man Bongo, also known as the Dave LaRue or John Mayung bass. The thing about this bass is that it is insanely comfortable to play. It is very lightweight. There's no neck dive. If I position it like this, it won't move. Because of these qualities, the bongo is mainly a live performance and practice bass for me. I can carry it wherever I need to for however long and play it for hours without feeling strain on my shoulder. It's got a big beefy sound as well thanks to the combination of the humbucker and single coil pickups, and I find that it sounds best when I accentuate the low lows and high mids. That said, I rarely use this bass for recording because I have found that the tone, while sounding great live, doesn't quite translate into a recording context. It sounds great on its own, but when I throw in guitars, drums, and everything else, I find that I have to do a lot more tinkering to get it to cut through and achieve a sound that I like. It's hard to articulate why exactly, but I think it boils down to certain frequencies of the bongo's tone sticking out in the mix unevenly, necessitating me having to EQ those issues away. In the end, every time I record with the bongo, I almost always end up pulling out the Zon to record the same lines, do an A-B comparison, and end up preferring the sound of the Zon. When recording bass, I have 3 pedals that I run the signal through before it reaches the interface. The first is a Dark Glass Hyperluminol compressor, which is a recent upgrade over my previous compressor, the EBS Multicomp. It has different types of compressor models, and I find that the bus model sounds best as it has the most fundamental bass. The second is the Dark Glass B7K. I mainly use this to enhance the presence of the bass as the EQ controls are really good. I don't really touch the drive knob as I find this pedal's distortion to be too crispy for my liking, but on certain songs I will turn up the blend to get a more saturated sound without distortion. Finally, probably the most important piece of hardware that defines my tone is the Sansamp VT bass. It adds a lot of mid-rangey chunkiness to the bass that happily coexists with guitars and drums. I find that a lot of other preamp pedals like this tend to saturate in the wrong frequencies, but with this one, they got it exactly right, at least for my taste. Thank you for watching. Check out the rest of this channel for full covers featuring these guitars, and support this channel by subscribing and purchasing original music from the Gothic Serpent Bandcamp.